Valorant Masters, one of the biggest tournaments of the year, is finally here. Every region summoning their best teams to see who is the best, and there is one thing that is certain: it's not gonna be Japan.
International Valorant is so interesting because every region develops their own style and habits that leads to interesting play only seen by others in their region. So getting everyone on LAN is like the Avengers assembling. It's just a term. Why did I say that? While I mainly talk about North American Valorant on this channel, every region has a claim on the title. Now recall that NA didn't make it past the first round of champions, but they'll be back. They're better. They're better this time, I promise. But I want to go into other regions and highlight some of their players and their teams and look out at what they're doing and what they're playing for. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? I'm very excited. Let's get into it. But before that, this video is sponsored by me. I spent hours working on the script and stats combing and editing on top of all my schoolwork and a lot of other things. So I just ask, if you like the video, consider subscribing. Statistically, I know you're not subscribed. So just do it. North America, baby. Although I've been a believer in North America succeeding internationally, the conversation has really sort of focused on how long before NA falls from the top of Valorant. And the answer was about 6 months. We saw 3 teams rise to international prevalence: Sentinels, Optic, and 100 Thieves, and within less than a year, all 3 had more or less fell out of the top contention. However, upon returning to the region at the beginning of 2022, there had been a shift where 3 new teams rose to prominence, driven by practice and good teamwork instead of just raw talent, with a 4th team, Optic, later joining in this culture shift. This shift is most evident by this graph I saw by Matt Liu, demonstrating the shift away from player skill to more of a team style of play. The new top 4 being Cloud9, The Guard, Optic, and Version 1, all having a chance to make it to Masters. And whoa. Go, I get it, they lost. Okay, guys, I get it. But the 2 that got the spot were Optic and The Guard, 2 teams with great rosters and amazing individual talent. I've gone on record saying that, in theory, Optic should win every game of competitive Valorant ever. The individual talent of each player is so absurd. Marv is one of the best offensive smokers in the world. Crash is one of the best Sovas in North America. Evanes, one of the best IGLs in NA. Victor, who probably has the highest peaks on the team. And of course, their global phenom, Ye. While this team has performed well in the past, taking second at Masters 3, they've struggled with the new wave of team-focused plays. But they've since adapted. And so not only do they have their individual dominance, but now they've begun adding more team play into their game, and they are so good. While they're still getting used to the new system, dropping sets to Rise in version 1, they ultimately took second seed in NA, beating the teams that mattered, earning the spots over Cloud9, Xset, and even beating The Guard. While their peaks are still unknown with the danger of having some stunning performances, Optic is definitely a dark horse in this race. The number 1 seed from NA heading to Masters is The Guard. This team has been playing hot, not in an unsustainable way, but more of a they finally came together sort of way. While there is a lot of great talent on the team, with The Guard actually boasting the smallest skill gap between their best and worst player, with only a difference of 42 ACS between the 2. I mainly want to focus on their 2 standout players. Sideplayer broke out as a duelist this year. He was mainly playing controller for T1 last year, but stunned everyone with his insanely consistent performances. While I don't think he's reached his peak as of yet, he has only gotten better as the team has improved. And as the only member of The Guard with LAN experience from his Overwatch days, I could definitely see him take a jump in efficiency come the tournament. The other standout player for sure is Trent, the answer. I've talked extensively about this guy, and so has most of North America, so we all know how good he is. But the question is still, how good can he get? This will be his first LAN experience, his first time traveling a stage, a new country, and all that weight will weigh him down somehow. But nothing has seemed to stop him before. He is the most efficient Sova player in North America with a high ACS to boot. While on paper The Guard look like tournament favorites, their inexperience on the international stage might hinder them a bit, but you'll definitely want to pay attention to these players to see how well that they will perform. I'm looking forward to these guys. EU is in a bit of a rough spot right now. While they proved to be the best region from Champions last year, looking at their lineup for this Masters, you might ask, where is the previous world champion Ascens? Where is the runner-up Gambit? Where is the first seeded Fun plus Phoenix? The EMEA has struggled over the past months of 2022 due to the world situation, causing troubles for a lot of Eastern European players. It's unfortunate to see that these players can't put their all into their game, and hopefully by next Masters, these teams will be able to perform without the weight of the world holding them down. But as for the 3 teams that did make it, those being Fnatic, G2, and Liquid, they are still no slouch. The EMEA is the most contested region, not with just 1 or 2 top teams like a lot of smaller regions, but with 6 or 7 that could feasibly make it to Masters. Because of that, there are so many different teams fighting for that top spot, and we are seeing very stylistically different teams that have all made it. Liquid is a team of fraggers that forces their opponents to make mistakes, adapting to their unorthodox team compositions and lethal double op setups. Of course, we know Scream, we know Nevera, they've been here before. Fnatic has one of the best offensive beasts in the world in Durka, winning an impressive amount of opening duels and basically leading the team to the win. He probably has one of, if not the highest potential to frag out with the highest max kills out of the entire 2022 VCT by a wide margin too. Finally, we have G2, another team that's made it here before, as a team more focused on the opening kill. Their team averages one of the highest opening kill percentages, with their spearhead of their offense, Nukia, being an insanely efficient fragger. Personally, the team I was looking forward to seeing the most was the Fun plus Phoenix roster that unfortunately was not able to travel to the tournament. They've been putting up absurd numbers in the EMEA circuit, taking the first seed overall. While I could make an entire separate video on the ins and outs of these teams and their compositions, EU is on the back foot going into Masters. With an improving NA coming in, a looming threat of the Brazilian super team, and the real world issues plaguing some of their best players, EU is going to need to dig deep to find success. While I don't think they're completely irrelevant, they still have teams with the potential of taking it all. The EU dominance we saw during Champions, it just won't be the same. Good luck to the EU Frogs. In the early days of Valorant, there was a big argument as to who was going to be the best region. EU was playing a very control-heavy style, while NA played a very frag-heavy style, and Brazil played a very... But very quickly, that turned out to be stupid. While EU and NA battled out for the top, BR took a step back and had some shunts on the international stage. Across the 3 international tournaments last year, Brazil had a total of 3 sets that they won of 14 that they played. That's a 21% win rate. Over this time, we've definitely seen some improvements with the region. For example, Heat and the God Squad super team Vivo Kid went on to dominate Brazil during stage 3 and came close to taking on Ascend, but it just never came to fruition. At the beginning of 2022, an even superer team formed with the region's top players in Loud. Loud is not only the most dominant team in Brazil, only dropping a single map on their way to the #1 seed, but is actually the most dominant team from any region in the world, beating out both DRX, Vision Strikers, and PaperRex, who are notoriously known for their dominance in their region. Similar to previous Brazilian super teams, they have fraggers boasting the highest ACS with some overall impressive performances. The players to look out for are definitely Uspa and Sasu. They are extremely explosive and one of the highest rated duos in the world. They 6-0'd the second Brazilian slot in NIP, who have an impressive roster of their own, but it's definitely this powerhouse team that you're going to want to look towards. I won't front though, I specifically don't know why they're considered so good. I've not been following the Brazilian VCT, only a couple of their few matches at the end, which they did just 6-0 sweep, but their dominance in the region should speak for itself. We may have another potential contender showing up at the VCT. However, I don't want to get my hopes up just too much because the stats only tell one part of the story. Yes, they are looking good. They are looking really good. But did they go 13-1 in groups because of how good they were or how tough the region is not? This is a situation where we can only assess on the day. Heat and Vivo Kid looked like a genuine dark horse for Master 3 and Champions, but struggled to make it out of pools. Hopefully this strong competition breeds more strong competition, and one day I will be proven wrong. Latin America came out as a Cinderella story for Champions, with their representative crew beating some of the tournament's favorites in Fnatic and Sentinels, and even went to the last map last round against Gambit, ending their run in 4th. Insane results for a region that only has 1 champion spot and more talent waiting in the wings. Returning home, everything was looking good for crew, and they could only get better with more time with the roster. But they struggled, not in-game specifically, their in-game was still fire, but the external factors started becoming more prevalent. Their championship-winning coach left the org to go join super team Loud in Brazil, who then later went and joined their direct rivals in Leviathan, and Kesnet being sanctioned for being cringe. It felt like things were kind of falling apart for the team as things were closing in on the playoffs. They were starting to slip to their rivals Astrals, now rebranded as Leviathan. These two teams have had a long history with one another, with Crew being the ultimate victor, but they have traded sets on a number of occasions. Knowing there's another team in and around the same caliber as Crew just waiting in South America is kind of nuts to me. But despite their coaching changes, Crew has continued to look pretty dominant in the region. While they're still playing a very offensive, execute-heavy style, it'll be the same Crew that we saw at Champions, and we'll finally be able to see if they'll be able to repeat what they did last year. But there's one more elephant in the room, and that's this. Kesnet has been playing Phoenix on Haven, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very competitively savvy enough to understand what's going on. He is 7-1 on Haven with Phoenix, so I guess that's cool, but I asked a tier 2 friend of mine what's going on with this, and he just said, this. Kesnet is an amazing player. He proved so at Champions, leading the team to those shock victories, but this is something else because no one plays Phoenix. Like, literally no one plays Phoenix. And it is because he is unviable in the meta with other characters trumping their abilities. This is just a comfort pick, which, sure, that's cool. But will that work on the main stage against the highest competitions? So if you see Crew playing Haven at Masters, please someone tell me what's going on. Next, we move on to the East, and this is definitely the region that I'm going to be looking out for the most. The SEA has made a slow rise through the global power ranking, with a piss-poor performance on debut, to making quite a few upsets by the end of the year, beating teams like Vivo Keed, Envy, Crazy Raccoons, and Vikings, and even coming so close to beating Gambit. X10 returns to the main stage, now as Xerxia, without their main duelist Patifan, as he retired at the end of Champions to go play Overwatch. With Patifan, X10 made upsets over Vivo Keed and Envy. I even ranked them as the 9th best team of 2021. Okay, I also ranked Cloud9 as 10th, so maybe this list isn't the best, but whatever, I meant what I said. With no Patifan, I expected them to slip through the rankings, but they have proven me wrong, with players like Scary stepping it up alongside Patifan's replacement, Surf. I keep mentioning Patifan because of his impact for the team during the VCT postseason. He continued to post up unreal numbers, leading his team in almost every major stat. However, Surf has done a valiant job keeping up with his numbers, but again, this is just against their region's best instead of the world's best. If we can see Surf, Scary, Sushi Boys continue to play as they have, we could see another playoff run similar to last year. However, Xerxia is only the 2nd seed from the SEA region, as the young and hungry PaperRex team has finally gone over their growing pains and have clinched the 1st seed from APAC. We've seen PaperRex once already on the international stage, with their headliner Forsaken being one to watch, as he was leading all teams worldwide in ACS. Now, they busted out pretty early in the group of death, but upon return, they made some roster changes and picked up Jing, basically Forsaken 2.0. Forsaken and Jing are the two most explosive duelists in the entire VCT, and they boast a combined highest ACS and the most kills per round between any two duelist initiator combo. These two guys have teared up the server on their own. However, it's the last piece of the puzzle that pushed them from server menaces to actual region dominators, and that's the improvement of Mindfreak. Now, Devil and Benkai have been the backbone of the team, but Mindfreak has struggled to keep up at times. In their Stage 3 postseason, he performed very poorly, getting outfragged and would be at the back of the pack. But his improvements this year in being an anchor has led him to a meteoric rise through the charts, being a great third option for the team and nearly improving his ACS by an average of 40 since the beginning of 2022, which that's not easy. With Forsaken, Jing, and Mindfreak leading the team, PaperRex have a genuine chance at making a run at the tournament. This, for sure, is my team to look out for. Watch out for these young guys. Now, I love Korean and Japanese Valorant. These are two growing markets, both in players and fans as a region, and I can only see them getting better. The Japanese final had over 200,000 viewers, which is wild to me. I can't imagine who's watching that. But there is more and more teams rising to the top of their respective regions. We saw Japan dominated by Absolute Jupiter, now Zeta Division, and Crazy Raccoons. And this year we saw Japan dominated by, okay, wait, never mind. But still, there are a lot of more top teams popping up with the region's skill pool expanding. Teams like Norception with the Korean Jet, and Exist with Vision Strikers Lakia moving over there. The representative for Masters 1 is Zeta Division, and they're returning with a more refined roster from last time. I think the main man to look out for this time is Depp, their new duelist, and he wears a variety of hats on the team. Japan has struggled on the international stage, taking only one set lifetime. So this year is about growing as a team in a region. I think going in, they are going to be the lowest seeded region and lowest seeded team, but I'm hoping to see them take maybe at least one set. I think this tale transfers over pretty well to Korea. Although they've had a better starting point as Overwatch was big in Korea, Korea as a region is still growing. Their top teams a year ago, the top team a year ago is still there, but seeing more contenders rise through the ranks is definitely interesting for the region dynamic. DRX Vision Strikers looks as good as always with a more refined roster with a solid 5 players instead of the experimental 6, but it's hard to continue to push your region that isn't just at your level yet. Other Korean teams have stepped it up though, with the likes of Damwon doing pretty well and the new contenders Onslayers coming up. But don't get me wrong, DRX is still fire. They can easily make upsets at the tournament, especially with their refined executes. Stax is still my player to look out for, as he is personally one of my favorite players in the world to watch, and his breach is something so unique. He's probably the best breach player in the world. However, they did choke at Masters 3 and Champions. This could be Vision Striker's time to shine. I talk about this every time. Hopefully with more experience on LAN and the region backing them, they can finally get the results that they're looking for. While I don't think either of these regions are contenders, I think both of them can make upsets that'll continue to push their region into the next level. They're both growing, they're both hungry, and I am excited.
There is a lot to be looking forward to during this next big tournament. It's a big event, it's a long event, so you may not be able to catch every game, so just stay tuned to social media to see what people are saying. I personally think that Optic has a good chance of finally taking a major tournament, but I think other teams like G2, Fnatic, The Guard, and even Loud have a good shot at it. They seem like they're a solid bunch of teams going this year. 2 teams to really look out for are definitely PaperRex and Crew to see if they can continue to string together what seems like dominance and take that over to the world stage. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad that the competitive scene is thriving. It's so interesting to see all these big teams finally getting big numbers, big budgets to compete against each other. So glad that there's no one region that just sucks in every aspect, but it's really nice that Valorant has a bright future ahead. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the video. The videos have been popping recently. I appreciate everyone who watches it, likes, comments, shares. Valorant Masters is gonna be a big event. I really like this one coming up. They have some good teams. I'm glad we get to see the Guard on the big stage. I think following them has been a real treat. If you like the video, consider actually pressing the button that said you like the video. Consider subscribing. If you wanna follow me on Twitter, Quick Dome on Twitter. You can also join my Discord, which is a bunch of people talking about Valorant, talking about esports. We're gonna be talking about Masters, doing watch parties. It is gonna be fun. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Peace.